all the ideas that I will just drop in your head, you can take one and think about it when you're back. I'll try to summarize each of the panels as we went along them during the day in some 7-8 points. And coming to the first one, where we had the pleasure of having Nina and João on how new media is influencing traditional journalism, I think 8 ideas for me came out of them. First, it's important to link whatever story we're talking about with the big picture. They talked about the economic story, the social story, the environmental story, the innovation story. If we can pitch tourism within those stories, then we have an opportunity. We need to show real-life examples and tell a story. And I think this was very interesting from their side. They said people follow bloggers, and so does the media. So you should follow the bloggers to see what they're saying. Less is more, and I think from our communication perspective, and I speak for myself as a communication person in UNWTO, we need to do less press releases and stop bombarding people with stories that might never get to their desks. They're looking for tailor-made content. It does take an extra effort, but it will have a bigger return on investment. Another issue on travelers, I think it's very interesting when they talk about travelers doing more to promote our country than the destination management organizations. And I think the challenge is for destinations to become aggregators of all these people. It's not to create their own content, because probably the human resources are not capable or are not having so much wider views as the users. So it's about creating platforms that allow for everyone out there to actually share that content. Also interesting that the barriers between the various media are becoming very blurry, and so it's more and more important to be multi-channel. It's not just being in YouTube or in Twitter, really need to cater for all those channels. Finally, that I think we need to build a new profile in our communication departments, a gems mining officer, and I take that from Roseanne. I think we need someone to all the day be building gems to communicate, and a storytelling officer. On the bloggers panel, I think the main message was risk, try, fail, and try again, and fail again, and try again. But do not be afraid to do so. Still, on that path, make sure you get professional guidance, because there's only so much you can fail with the resources that you probably will have available. So it is important to get professional guidance. I think, in picking on Rosanna's comment again, social media is about different views, and this is what actually attracts consumers, so we need to cater for that. And to cater for that, we need to stop wanting to control everything. And I can tell you from my own perspective, when we started social media in our organization, saying, oh, we need to see all the messages, we cannot leave our colleagues to tweet, they might tweet things which are not politically correct, but we are also limiting our capacity to communicate. So this is an interesting discussion on, do we control it, do we not control it? And I think there's a lot still to debate on that. Again, it's important to set measurement. All of this implies investment, so return on investment should be not forgotten when we talk about social media, and we should not also forget to put ourselves in what we call the shoes of the viewer, and to create empathy, as it was mentioned, with any target group that we are trying to aim. The big advantage, credibility. People, as we've seen, trust more other people like them than they trust advertising. So as long as it can create different content for different target groups in different formats, we will be able to cater for that. And finally, on this last panel, I think it was clear that it's all about going mobile and it's about going video. It's interesting when you think about reports, we don't read reports anymore. We read infographics these days because we don't have time to read. So I think this is where we're moving. But still, the main message is if you're relevant. Because you can do a fantastic video, but if the content is not relevant, you can have a lot of nice images flying, but if it's not relevant, then it would be useless. Explore technology for late booking. I think it was very clear that late booking is emerging, and technology is probably the only option that we have to reach the client when he's trying to decide and having an offer to decide going traveling the next week. Very interesting, and I think this always comes in every discussion I've heard about technology in tourism. Smart cities, smart hotels, and free access to Wi-Fi. So I think this is probably, it should be on the top of the hoteliers' objectives, which I don't think it is still, but for consumers it's a critical issue. Local ambassadors, I think it's very interesting to see how tourist boards can actually enhance local ambassadors, local citizens, and not only local citizens, the staff to create content. And I think this was something that came out very clearly in the last discussion. And finally, on adding value to the consumer information, I think a lot of the research that most destinations do at this point, they spend a lot on research, but they don't use user-generated content research enough. There's a lot of information out there on user-generated content about your destination, about your company, which is not being explored. And to conclude, I think tourism clearly needs new skills and new investment in human resources that can actually cater for all those changes. So I hope that with this very quick sum up, I can give you some hints to go back home, and hopefully you can share with us what you've done afterwards with those hints and with the discussion here. As Marcelo said, we would like to continue this conversation, and we hope that you continue communicating with us the same way we would like to continue communicating with you. And I now have the honor to ask Mr. Talib Rifai, UNWTO Secretary General, to give his closing remarks to the conference. Thank you.
Sandra was brilliant as usual. Thank you so much, Sandra. It's been a good day, it's been a long day, it's been a rich day full of content. I don't want to make it longer, and I'm not sure if I can add to the content. But I would like to share a few moments, within a few moments, some personal reflections on this. First, the thanks and the acknowledgement. I want to thank the Portuguese government, Turismo Portugal, for the excellent cooperation and warm welcome. I think you all share me with this feeling. You've done a great job. Thank you so much. I want to thank our media partners, namely CNN, João Ferreira from RTP, for sharing with us the inside thinking of journalists and guiding us to how to pitch our stories, so to speak. Thirdly, I want to thank the great panelists. I truly, truly enjoyed it. Each and every one of you gave us your best, and we engaged very, very intensively and in a very useful manner. And I learned that old dogs can learn new tricks. Thank you. I feel better already. Fourthly, I want to thank particularly our international participants, people that came from so far away, from Malaysia, from Bahrain, from Ecuador, from Barbados, and even those that did not have to fly from so far away, but still came to us. Montenegro, Macedonia, Angola, Mozambique. You're all very welcome, and I truly, truly appreciate the effort that you made, and I hope you found it worthwhile. This is our extended family, and I'm so proud of it. But lastly, I want to thank the audience for being so faithful, so loyal, so engaging, and so rich in what you have contributed to this event. But I cannot leave here without sharing with you some very, very personal thoughts. One, I realized very clearly now that not only the global landscape of the world is changing, and the world around us is changing as we speak, as I speak. Everything is changing with it. And the media landscape is changing. Even media people are not able to catch up with it. I was struck by the fact that you said that I belong to the traditional school. I don't know what is the traditional school anymore. And where do we have the cutting line there? Everything is changing so fast around us, and we are finding hard time to catching up with it and catching our breath in that regard. Two, that basically it's all about stories. And speaking of stories, I carried this book with me. I'm so proud of this book. This lady out here, this lady, I met a year and a half ago in Vietnam. She's a widow with 4 children. 2 of them are still at home. I met her while I was taking a boat ride along an area called Holland Bay that our host took me to it. It was a wooden boat with no engine because they wanted to be environmentally correct and not create neither the pollution nor the noise nor the disturb the tranquility of the place, and that was a correct decision. So this lady was one of 200 ladies where the local authorities there gave them those wooden boats and told them, you can come and take a turn and take the tourists back and forth, and you'll make some living of that. This lady told me with so much pride that after her husband left this world, she was able to send 2 of her children to universities. She is able to bring food, lunch, dinner, and breakfast every day to her house. When she can't row that boat, the government and the local authority allowed her to give that boat to anybody in her family or any friend of hers that would keep the turn and operate that boat, and she would share the income that comes between her and whoever operated that. 200 ladies, 200 families. That's what tourism is all about. It's about people. And that's made us think of this wonderful book that I would like to really want each and every one of you to take a look at it. This is a book about 14 stories of the like. Not about countries, not about destinations, about a wonderful young lady that's working at the reception desk, probably here at this very hotel, that wakes up every morning at 6 o'clock to be here at 7 o'clock, to smile, looking good, looking kind, looking gentle to us, making a good living, supporting her way through life, and probably leading a life of hope and optimism. It's about people. This is the kind of stories that media has to pick up. We can't keep talking about beautiful beaches and beautiful mountains and fantastic skies. Everybody has that. Everybody has that. What we need to do is concentrate on stories. Stories of people. Stories of jobs. Stories of the environment. How tourism was able to go to a certain place, not only not damage it, but even make it better from where it first took it. Stories about how the tourism revenues were able to contribute to the national reserves of the country. How in Egypt tourism brings in more than Suez Canal brings in terms of foreign exchange. These are the kinds of stories that we need to link our industry to, otherwise nobody would listen to us. 3, destinations and companies' role and the way they operate have changed, and we need to accept that change. We cannot fight change. We have to simply manage it, navigate through it, and turn it from a force that may have some kind of damage or negative impact into one that brings better life and better impact on people. And in that regard, there was a very important debate in the morning, and throughout lunch I talked to some of you as well, about the role of media in promotion. And we all are seeing now how the empowerment of individuals, the democratization of information, the breakdown of monopoly on who tells us what's good and what's bad and what should be told and what should not be told, have created an environment where promotion has to be thought of in a completely different way and a completely different fashion. And I must repeat again what I think I'm beginning to believe in more and more. There is no sense in trying to look good. Makeup does not help. You've got to be beautiful from the inside for it to show on the outside. You've got to be good. Countries and destinations that are good do not have anything to worry about. I never ever worry about Portugal, Spain, Italy, or Greece. You can have as much demonstrations as you want in the streets of Greece. People will still go to Greece. They would love it because it's good, because it's invested in tourism, because it believes, because it has what it takes. You will always find a smiling face and a good hotel and a good service and good quality. You'll find the same thing in Portugal, you'll find the same thing in Spain, you'll find the same thing in Italy, and I can name many, many other countries. So it is not how you want to look, it's how you really do look. And I heard today 1 or 2 statements saying that people don't trust advertising anymore. They want something that is real. And that's precisely what we're talking about. People trust people. And people will only say what they feel is right. They don't have to say what is not right. So we have to be good. It doesn't work anymore to keep repeating something, hoping that the world would believe it. The world won't anymore because the monopoly has broken down.